What's up, boys?
Not much, not much.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hello, hello.
I'm going to get huge. I'm going to get huge after seeing that ad now, and I have the product actually in hand.
I'm surprised.
I can't pronounce the words on it. King Couture size. One's a glycerol pump. I better take that before I go today. The pump serum.
I would have sent you my MK product, but that it won't make it through customs to Australia.
And the wicked pump, do I take the wicked pumps with the pump serum? Do I get doubly pumped or
doubly pumped? Or you can just
double pump. Or don't use both together. And then I got the
you can drive. Yeah. You can use that the intra drives during the workout.
Well, what about if I just go to the gym? I don't really work out anymore. Can I just drink it while I'm walking around?
Yeah, you just drink. Do whatever you want to with it, Lee.
I just swipe my card so they know I've been there. That's all I do.
I was going to send you our Ceromax, but the MK that's banned, I think, in Australia. So because I tried to ship it out, but I shipped it out there before to some customers, and they seized it. So sometimes I tell them sometimes it gets in.
Anything that's good or healthy for you can make you a better person. We can't allow that in the country. We've got to have you looking shit, unhealthy. What's happening with King's hair there? Have you got a mohawk going on there? Is it
No, just the spikies. That's all.
Yeah, it's like the what was it from which one was it? Spike from Gremlins.
I like Spike from Gremlins, but nah, this is just
they're doing a remake. I heard they're bringing Gremlins back. They're doing a remake, so
that should be a good one if they do it right.
As long as they don't make
good hair. I'm just coming back from my hair transplant. I'm wearing a hat, but King's got the hair. You still got your hair, Lee, too. You haven't had a habit transplant.
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Still hanging in there. But I don't take it for granted, because I've had friends that have a good head of hair and they boast about it. Look at me, 50 this and that. Then 2 years later, gone. So I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, that's rule number one, man. Don't brag. Don't brag. Just let it be.
No. Yes, exactly.
I'm in a shedding phase, so it's like shedding now. So I like month 3, then that's when it starts like sprouting again, I would say.
Yeah.
Lee, let's get into the good stuff, okay? This is not one of those podcasts where we're going to sit back and we're going to talk bullshit for 45 minutes and then ask the good questions. I want to ask the good questions right off the bat. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so what is going on between Keon Pearson and you? Is this something that is it getting under your skin, or you are just like the OG that I know you are, that you just laughed it off and said, "What the fuck is going on?" Talk to me.
I laugh it off, and actually Keon wrote to me and I wrote to him. I said, "Oh, I see you stirring up stuff there." Before it was always Lee versus Flex Lewis. So I don't see why it's Lee versus Keon, because I haven't competed in the IFBB since 2006. Flex Lewis has competed in the IFBB more recent than me. So why isn't it Keon and Flex? Why is it me and Keon? I don't get the comparison. So yeah, it's funny. We talk. He wants me to go live with him on Instagram sometime. But, it's like people can put up photos. They do it of me and Flex. They do it with me and Keon now or whatever. I said, but until you got the people standing on stage, you know what it's like when you see people in real life, the 3D of their body. And that, yes, Keon's got beautiful shape in that. I've said maybe in 3 years' time, maybe 2028, I see him maybe winning the Open Olympia. But, it's like doing these comparisons, because if you're comparing Keon to me, then you got to compare him to who I competed with: Paul Dillette, Kevin Leverone, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, all these people I beat. So it's not only beating me, he's got to wipe the floor with all them as well. So yeah,
that's the one thing that I always try to inject into the equation. Don't just compare a person to the pictures. Compare the person who was competing against who they competing against. It was a completely different era. I don't think people understand what 3D freaks of the 1990s really look like. I don't think they understand the look. It wasn't all about trying to come in as spongy and as big as you possibly can, which seems to be the trend now. But it was about who's going to come in conditioned with that crazy deep separation and the look and the skin. And it was a whole people just don't understand that. I don't like the comparison because I said the same thing to Keon about Keon. I said he potentially could be one of the best bodybuilders on the planet in the open division if he continues the rate that he's going right now with this progression. But stop with the fucking comparisons. People just don't know.
I think too, like he said, he's doing the two. Look, he's won the 212. You got that 212 Olympia under your belt. Going back to win the second time is not going to make you any better a bodybuilder. You're not going to go up and do 7 like flex because to me, it's like Keon needs to go into the open now. You can say all what you want that, yes, you can hang with me and all these people. Do it now because if Keon goes to the Olympia this year in the open, him getting in the top 6, he's going to get more respect and be like seen as a better bodybuilder and winning the 212 again. So just go in the open now. Why wait another year or so? Just start doing it now. Get your feelers out there, see where you place in it this year, and just go from there. Stop going back to the 212. It's like you've won it. Move on. Step up a class.
So you do
for all you TikTokers out there. So I know Lee and King don't in the TikTok world, but all the TikTok world, there's a whole other world of TikTokers out there. There's this little nerd on TikTok. He was like he did like the whole comparison thing, and he has a decent following on TikTok, but it's mostly like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds are literally following him. And so he made the whole comparison thing to Lee, and people are actually asking for this guy's opinion. This guy's, I think he's won like a natural show or something like that. And he was like, talking all this shit on, I mean, he has a big following on TikTok, don't get me wrong. And a lot of people follow him. And so I made a video. I think you saw the video, Lee, I made. I think I put it on Instagram too. Yeah. And so I kind of like, said like, listen, back then was then is now, Lee took this much. These guys take this much. It's a different criteria, different time. You can't put stage pictures like up next to each other. If you didn't see Lee Priest like in person, you don't understand. These kids, like that kid, he didn't understand. I said, why don't you come on the podcast? Because he had some other, little snide remarks to make, like, oh, you Photoshop your pictures and all this kind of nonsense. Like, why don't you come on a podcast with real bodybuilders like Kamali and Lee Priest, and come on here and we could talk about gear. We can talk about, nutrition and whatever, and you'll get shut down because this kid is like, he's really annoying, and he just runs his mouth constantly.
I follow TikTok. I tried to get on TikTok twice. I deleted it. I started another one, and I'm like, I just can't follow it or understand it. It's like I felt like it's making me retarded just being on there. It's like, I just had to delete the account again. I'm like, this is too much. I can just handle Instagram and Facebook, and I'm mainly on Instagram. I barely go to Facebook anymore. So
it's a whole other world, and it's like it's a whole other world, and it's a lot of little kids, but the people get big followings on there, and there is some stuff you can make money on there and promote your stuff and all that, and there's good and bad parts of it, but there's so much misinformation out there, and you got these kids with a lot of that, like the one I was talking about with a huge following, and he gives out all this information, and people like tag him in every little thing, and I'm like, dude, you're asking this guy that's competed like in a natural show, which is not natural anymore. You can tell obviously, even though he's still tiny. But
I saw one of the comparisons too. They had like Keon from the last 212s, and the pictures they're comparing were me at 20 years old. I'm like, you're comparing me at 20 years old to Keon winning the 212. It's like, put Keon at 20 years old beside my 20-year-old pictures if we're going to compare photographs like that. Come on.
Yeah, Keon used to train down the street from me at Destination Dallas, and I saw him in person, too. And he's impressive. He's a great bodybuilder. It's just two different times, and it's just.
What's his YouTube channel? Why aren't I following it? What's the name of it? The one you're on now, this one, where the comments are coming up. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Oh, it's just my name. It's just Armon Adibi.
I thought I was following it, but it's not.
Yeah, I sent you the link.
I mean, for the YouTube channel, not this. I was trying to find it on here so I could read the comments.
I'll put the comments up. What's up, brothers? Lee, I always wanted.
I can see him coming up on my phone, but they're small to read on my phone.
Armon, go ahead and read it.
I'll read them out loud. Yeah. What's up, brothers? Lee, always wanted to ask you and King. Armon, please chime in too. What was the greatest routine for you to put size on your arms? High reps versus heavy size for arms. Which one?
This is Lee's department.
For me, I always found 6 to 8 reps, but I always did high volume, so I never did any less than 20 sets for biceps and 20 sets for triceps. And people go, "Oh, that's a lot." Yeah, because people go, your biceps get worked a little bit when you do back, which indirectly they do. Same with your triceps doing chest and shoulders. You get a little bit of a pump, but it's not like working them directly. And I believe any other body part, I'd watch Arnold, Sergio, all the guys that had the big arms did high volume. And really, when you think about it, 20 sets isn't much. You pick 4 exercises, 5 sets on each, or 5 exercises, do 4 sets on each. Doesn't take long, but if I was doing the basic movements like barbell curl, dumbbell, preachers, 6 to 8, but if I used the cable, maybe 12 to 15 reps.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's into this push
reps. Get a training partner to force you through the last few couple reps. That's when you grow.
Did you ever do that where you stand face to face with your partner, your training partner, and you grab just like a 40-pound bar, and sometimes you just pick a time, you go 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and you just do as many as you can. You pass it to him. You just keep going back and forth. And by the end of it, you can barely do 1 or 2 reps because you're just going back. In the beginning, you're like, "Oh, this is easy." Then when they start pumping up, you're like, "Fuck, you take it." And he's giving it back, and you're trying to get your breath. Your arms are burning. You pick a time like some stupid 10, 15 minutes, and it's the longest 10, 15 minutes of your life when you're just passing the bar back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we all did that, and now everybody's doing this push pull, and then they're like, what we did, we all did. We would train usually a body part once a week. We would hammer it, let it recover, whatever, 5 to 7 days, and hit it again. And now they're overcomplicating it. They're doing push pull legs, push pull this.
Like this bro science is like, it's just training. Bodybuilding, when you break it down, the bodybuilding, the eating, it's so basic. I don't see why. Yes, there's lots of information out there, but even when it comes to dieting, they say, "Lee, I want to do a bulk up. What do I eat?" You want to bulk up, just fucking eat. Just keep eating. You want to put weight on, it's not hard. Depending on how big you want to get, then watch your fats and carbs in. But if you just want to put weight on, push the food in. You don't need a diet for that. You want to lose weight, eat cleaner food, do a bit of cardio, still train hard. It's like they're trying to reinvent a wheel that has never been broken, and you get down to the basics. It's like young kids now who haven't even really got the base. They're like, "I just want to work this part of my shoulder here, just a little bit." It's like, how about you just work the whole shoulder to begin with? And then if you get to that nitty gritty where a judge says you just missed out on the Olympia because you need to bring this bit up, worry about it then. But until then, just build the foundation. Stop getting into this artsy fartsy. I just want to work my inner bit here. It's like, fuck it, just train your chest.
Yeah, that's an impossibility right now, Lee, because too many people are listening to these retards on social media. That's why. That's the problem. When I've said this 1,000 times before, I wish I prayed I had the opportunity to talk to an IFBB pro when I was young, so I can say, "Hey, this and that." They have all the advantages in the world right now, and they all look like shit. I should tell you something.
Don't you hate it too when you do tell them? And I've been honest with my gear usage, the small amounts I've used. I've told them about my training, and they sit there and go, "Ollie, why do you answer if you're just going to lie?" I'm like, I'm telling you the truth. Like if I took 10,000 milligrams, I say I took 10,000. But when it came to this, I only used 400 of this, 500 of that. I never went to these stupid things. Well, I heard. It's like, you can hear all you want. I'm the guy that took it, and I'm trying to tell you, if you're going to do it, use it. Don't abuse it, but try it the safe way first. Don't start off at 1,000 milligrams of this and something it is. It's like, to me, it's just crazy. Like when I did my first cycles, I did DECA by itself. Then I waited a couple of months. I did tests by itself. That way I knew how each drug worked on me separately. These kids now do 4 drugs at once. Oh, they're working good. I'm like, how do you know what drug's working and what isn't? Maybe only 2 of those are benefiting you. The other 2, you're just wasting your money on. So the whole emphasis on drugs now and this, you pros don't tell the truth, there's a secret. I'm like, there is no secret, because if there was, I did it the hard way for fucking 40 odd years. So I wish there was a secret.
They shut it down with the SARMs first. They start using the SARMs and they shut their production down, and then they don't know what to do. And then they start taking, everything at once, and they don't know what's working, what's real, what's fake. And most of the stuff they're taking is fake or underdosed out there. Me and King talked about it before. It's not like, what they're taking today. Of course, you could get some underground labs that's making some decent stuff. And because I do have friends that, manufacture, and they do make decent stuff and all that. But it's, most of the guys, you don't know what you're getting. And they're taking 5 different things. They're like, oh, this is the great thing. This is what gets you big. People say, oh, Primo is better than Trin. Like, Primo is stronger than Trin now. And everybody runs to start taking Primo. And, when Primo is one of the, weakest compounds there is out there. So,
yeah. And I hated Tren. I took Tren, like I said before, 4 times. The last time I took it, I was with Kathy. It would have been 2002. And I didn't get the cough. I got the cough, but then I got as if someone just hit me with a baseball bat in the chest. My chest got that tight, and the pain, I just had to stand there like this thinking, fuck, this is the end. I'm going to die like this with the needle hanging out my shoulder. And I couldn't breathe. I said, since that day, I never took it again. That's why I don't understand when I read comments, these young kids, I can't sleep on Tren. I'm irritable. I can't do this. I can't eat. I'm thinking, why are you taking a drug that makes you feel that shit? If you're feeling that shit internally, physically and mentally, stop taking that fucking drug. It's not doing you any good if you can't eat properly, because then you can't put the weight on because you can't eat because of it. Then you can't sleep. Then you're not going to make any gains if you're not getting any sleep. I'm like, get off the fucking drug. For some reason, young kids think Tren is this all-powerful proton pill that Roger Ramjet used to fucking take. It's like...
Right. They start out with it, Lee. They start out with the Tren as their first cycle. So they don't take tests. They don't take Anavar. They take Tren. And so it's up there. So anything they take after that, it's like they don't get the same response. So they just stay on Tren year round. And, you got guys taking Tren 4 years, straight. You're like, starting at 16, you're 20 years old. You've been on Tren for 4 years.
Yeah. And I'm sure King can say too. It's like...
when you have a couple of guys that are famous and popular called the Tren Twins, okay? Yeah. I'm just telling you right now, and I think Lee will back me up on this. Back in the day, if you walked in a gym, you called yourself the Tren Twins, you get your ass kicked. You literally, they'll take you in the parking lot and beat the living shit out of you. That's how it used to be. Now they're famous, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I know.
They make stupid people famous.
I actually don't mind them. I like some of their stuff, but when I first saw their name, I'm like, why would you call yourself the Tren Twins? Out of all the names,
exactly.
It's like, why do that? And for a while, I didn't follow them just for the name. I'm like, I'm not going to follow you guys, but I'm sure King can attest to this too. It's like this whole young things now when they're bridging and cruising. I know myself, and when Paul lived with me and stuff, when we come off, we come off. We didn't touch anything for a month or 2 or 3 months. We let the body actually clean out. There was no 200 milligrams a week of test or something like this. It was cold turkey. You didn't take anything. But now these people just stay on it all year round. And I found, like, towards my last 10 years of competing, I did no off-season cycles at all. I do the 16 weeks I was on preparing for a show. And then if I didn't have a show to the end of the year, I'd be off for 4 months. I'd just be eating the crappiest food ever, putting all the weight on with food and training hard. And then when I went back on it, I find that's why my body responded so well, because you've been off it for that amount of time. I've been eating shit food. The second I went to clean food, added the gear back in, my body just switched on like that,
Even when you take off TRT dose, like, when I got a hair transplant, I didn't train for 6 weeks. I went to the gym 2 days ago. I did a couple sets of chest, and it's so sore. But even taking off TRT dose for 200 milligrams, even when you start back, you're like, wow, like, this is something. And, these guys, it's all mental because they come off and they're like, that's the stupidest thing to do. Why would you ever come off testosterone? I'm like, you're coming off 6 weeks. Literally, it takes us several weeks for the testosterone to even leave your system. And then, when you start again, give your system like a little break.
Yeah, but it's like, I had friends when they'd come off and I'd go to train heavy. I'd be like, let's train heavy. Oh, I can't go heavy. I'm like, why not? I'm not on anything right now. I'm like, if you've got that mentality, you're going to go nowhere. You think you can't train hard because you're not on gear. I just said, that's stupid. Whenever I come off, I might drop a couple of pounds of water, but I never really lost any strength because I kept training hard. I kept eating and, kept the eating up and stuff. Whereas these guys, when they come off, they get on gear, they train a bit more regimented. They eat more food. So they're like, oh, I got stronger, I got bigger. Then once they finish their cycle, they stop eating the food, they stop training hard, and they just go back down again. I'm like, what's the point? You're just going up and down, up and down. It's crazy.
And they burn out, fast. Yeah. And you can't explain a lot of these kids. You can't explain to them like, listen, like, yeah, you might be jacked, you might look great for all your buddies when you're like 18 or 19, but when you're 30, your receptors are fried, and they don't think there's such thing as the receptors matter. They don't understand that. So they take all this shit, and then stuff stops working, and they don't understand why. So they have to keep taking more and more and more. And me and King get it all the time since we coach a lot of people, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I said I helped one guy once get ready for a show, and I did his diet and that. He goes, what about my cycle? I said, look, I haven't even read the Underground Steroid Handbook. I couldn't fucking tell you. I said, I can show you what I've done if you want to follow it. He's like, oh, sure. He must have thinking it's going to be some big, great protocol. I send it to him and he wrote me back 10 minutes later. Are you fucking with me? I said, why? He goes, there's no growth hormone. You don't have this. I said, that's because I don't take it in that diet thing. He's like, I said, you trust me with your diet. You trust me with your training. Trust me with this. So he did follow up to a T. He went and he won the worlds, and he's like, that's the best I ever looked and the best I ever felt. And it was on a quarter of what he used to take.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys want to talk about Derek going into the, we saw his progress pictures. It's bad lighting. Bez French's gym. That lighting's not the greatest. And what do you guys think about his 4 weeks outlook?
It's hard to say 4 weeks there, because I've seen people make miraculous changes in 2 weeks. I've seen Sonny Schmidt once looking as watery as hell, and Sonny went on fish and rice for a week and a half and came in peeled looking like a fucking statue. So it's hard to say. We used to seeing him. I think we've seen him look a bit better this far out. So, but I'm sure Chris has different plans, maybe trying to keep him as full as he can to the last minute, because I'm sure it won't be body fat. It'll just be mainly fluid and shit. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to get that out and still keeping the muscles full without going too far. So the ones of Samson look good. I know Samson's got the good lighting there and stuff in that recent picture of his. So if you're comparing the two, like Samson looks miles ahead, but it's bodybuilding. Until they step on stage, anything can happen. So
correct.
Yeah, Derek. We're used to seeing Derek look really good 4 weeks out. His glutes are really already in, and I'm sure they're taking whatever Chris and them are doing. They're taking a different approach, I'm sure, than Hani is, because Hani and Chris, they do a lot of things very, very different. So he's got to trust the process, and we'll see what
they could be fucking with us. They could have taken that video 8 weeks ago and said, let's just post it 4 weeks out just to screw with people's minds.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
He definitely had an appearance at Beth's place, as they had that workshop going on that weekend and stuff. But again, I agree with you, both you guys. You can't really go by the pictures. Samson does look like he's miles ahead right now. He looks bigger. He looks improved. And it's going to be, I think they'll be compared a lot. But for me, it's not with Derek. It's not about the glutes. It's not about the back. It's about the front here. Okay. And about this quad. So it's those two things. Those are the two things that we need. If he had a most muscular from the front, we would not be having discussions right now. We'd be like, okay, he's behind, or he's ahead, or he's right where he's supposed to be. His most muscular from the front answers all questions, but he won't post that. He won't do it.
Yeah, I think his quads are the main issue, because last time they were ate up in the off season, and all his appearances, his quads are blown out. Whatever they did last time, him and Ani, obviously it didn't work. His quads were downsized. So I think that's the main issue people are looking for. Like, what happened last time, and how is it going to be corrected?
Same thing.
Going into this show.
His legs downsized too. You know what I'm saying? And 1 week out before the show, he was doing 6 plates and dropping to 5, dropping to 4. Everybody was like, "Wow, unbelievable!" And then he was still downsized. So you can't go by these things. Lee's 100% right, but we have seen him look better 4 weeks out.
Yeah. What else?
I'm still
What's next?
Like the pictures of James James looking good too. I think this is probably the fullest and hardest James has looked this far out too, working with Stefan. So I'm hoping James does well, but even haven't really seen any pictures of Andrew yet. So it'll be interesting to see when they all get on. I think it's going to be a good lineup. So even, we're putting Derek up there like it's between Samson and Derek, but any one of those other guys, if they come in really good, could, push Derek out the way. So
let's run down the list so we know everything. So
yeah, let's do that.
We have Sean Clarita. We have Derek Lunsford, Andrew Jacked, Brandon Curry, Bonac, Akeem, James,
John De La Rosa,
Carlos, Justin Rodriguez, and
Patrick.
Patrick. Line up right there.
And I think Akeem, he's one too. He can be deadly if he hits it on the right day too. So I wouldn't count him out.
It's like we've had this discussion about Akeem so many times. Front, his arms, his side, fantastic. He turns to the back, the judges lose interest. They just lose interest. I've seen it happen over and over and over again.
Just because those lats just are high.
Wonder when so much emphasis came that, look, I understand you got to have a good back and they like to see the glutes and that, but it's only 2 poses. You got the side chest, side tricep, front double bicep, most muscular, front lat spread. So if he beats everyone in that, but because the guy's a better back, I'm sorry, you lose. This guy's got a better back, but yet you beat him in every other shot.
It's like the back and glutes became like the main emphasis. You see, the back, Akeem's lats, they have gotten a little higher over the years. So, a lot of people atrophy. Like we've seen Rami's lats get higher, whether it's to nerve damage or whatever, or father time. But, you're right. All the other poses, you win all the other poses as soon as they turn around. Okay, they lose the back double bicep. They lose the back, lat spread. But then every other pose they win. But it's like, it's just from like, oh, the back's not there, so we're placed on this back. It's like, what are you judging, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting. I agree with Lee. It is definitely, I wouldn't say the most stacked lineup ever at the Arnold Classic, but it's a very good lineup. A lot of guys are very comparable. I want to see Akeem next to Bonac. I want to see Akeem next to Sean Clarita. I want to see what Brandon Curry looks like. Is Andrew Jack have that thickness? I mean, there's a lot of questions that can be answered. It's going to be a good show.
And you got Carlos Jr. That guy's a freak, but can he get in shape? That's the main issue with Carlos. Is can he get in shape? Can he get deep cuts? And I don't know if he can. He's working with Patrick Tour, which I'm sure.
Looking at him there, he almost looks like he can get the hard look and get the vascularity. But like you said, can he get those real deep lines? Because a lot of guys that used to come in with veins all over them and have like a little bit of separation, but to get that real deep separation will be the key there. And if you can get that, then you're going to look great. All that mass he's got.
Not people have that anymore, though, Lee. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I use this comparison a lot to anybody who ever contacts me. Like I get a lot of people who ask me, like, what do you think about Martin? What do you think about Martin King? He's 4th place at the Olympia. My response, I always say the same thing, and it makes them pause, and they don't know how to answer me. I'm like, okay, put Martin next to Kai Green. Who wins? And then they can't answer it. They just start thinking about it because you can't think about it. It's a completely different look. It's a completely this separation and density is from another planet when it was on Kai. You got to think differently when you're at that level. It's who you're going up against. It's not who was competing. It's who you're going up against. These are the way how I look at it. This is how Lee looks at it. This is how Armon looks at it. Look at the people that come up. It's not there yet. It's just not there yet.
No, it's not. And I don't know what what they're doing differently, but they're relying on a lot of the insulin growth too much. They're growing too fast, and I think that's what is not causing them to get that deep separation. They're just getting too big too fast. I mean, look at all the guys. I mean, takes 10 years to get a certain level. They're doing it in 3 years. The muscle just doesn't have that same fibrous quality look to it. And, it's like.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, you go back to I hate to go back to our days, but you look at the guys competing today, even you can be a bit of a dick sometimes, but Sean Ray, when he was in shape, you just look at his body, the definition, the separation and stuff like that. And he stands in beside some of the guys now, like a Martin, and Sean would blow Martin away as good as Martin is. Just the quality of muscle they had back then, like you said, if you go back even earlier, I don't know if the training was different or, like you said, we used just basic gear, but you even go back to the days of Bird or Fox and all these guys that just had that thick, dense muscle, and it looked granite hard. I mean, like, it looked like it was carved out of stone. Yes, guys today look big and like cut, but they still look like watery. They don't really have that polish where, I mean, like, it's just, you know what I'm talking about, when someone stands there, like Hardy got it a few times. He almost was a throwback to the 90s with his conditioning. That's why he stood out so much. But back in the day when Kevin would stand there, or Dorian, just standing relaxed, looked like they've been chiseled out of rock. So but they don't seem to be getting that these days. They just seem to always be that film. And when they hit a pose, yes, they come alive a bit, but it's just not wow. It's just not that real shock factor that it used to be.
Right.
I blame it on the GH and insulin. I mean, the starting guys, they're starting with 10 to 15 IUs. That's the norm these days for guys that are influencers, whether you're the Trent twins or doing a novice show. That's like the new norm, starting with 10 to 15 IUs. And me and King have talked about it before, comparing, like the Nordotropa pins and all that to whatever that you're taking. A lot of these guys today, they're still getting farm grade GH. They're getting GH. They're just taking so much of it, and they're not giving themselves time. Hey, start out with 2 to 3 IUs, see what that does. But they just want to jump in and take 10 and 15 IUs, and that gives a muscle a blown up look. But I think it blurs a lot of lines.
Yeah, no one's got patience anymore. It's like bodybuilding isn't a sprint. It takes years and years to build good quality muscle. It's like, especially young kids today, they want everything. They message you on a message. They want to reply instantly. They get a job. They start off here on Monday. By Friday, they want to be the fucking CEO. They haven't got the patience to do all this hard work or groundwork. When they hear it takes years and years, they're like, oh, no, I can get there quicker if I just do this. It's like, there are no fucking shortcuts in bodybuilding, trust me. Nothing. You just got to slug it out year after year, month after month. And then I said, you can be strong physically, but bodybuilding, you got to be strong up here to fucking withstand it all over all the years. You got to be mentally strong more than physically strong.
Lee, who do you got? Who do you got for the Arnold? Give me a top 3, top 5, whatever.
Right now, I'd say, just going by pictures right now, I'd say Samson. And then from second down, it could be fucking anyone. I'd say, you could say Derek because of where he was before, but then haven't seen Andrew. If Andrew comes in like he did in Texas or a bit better, who's to say where he could place there? So I got Samson first, from second to fifth. I haven't got no fucking clue.
Good enough. That's good. Armon, what you got?
I mean, I do got Samson winning. Derek, like I said, I'm concerned about Derek because he's one of those guys that, Hani really holds your hand when he's prepping you. And I know Derek and Hani, they're still talking, they're still friends. He's still with Evagen. They've got workouts together still. But Hani's saying, hey, listen to Chris, whatever he's telling you to do. I don't want to be a part of that. I retired from, temporarily or whatever it is now, but I'm retired for now. Listen to whatever Chris is telling you to do. So I think Derek is having a hard time transitioning and probably doubting a lot of the new methods or whatever they're doing. So I'm going to say he's in third, and I'm going to say Andrew. I'm going to put Andrew in second.
Do you think he is, though, listening to Chris? Because, like you said, if he is panicking because he knows where he should be when he's with Hani, now he's with Chris. Do you think he's looking in the mirror, contacting Hani, going, I'm not where I normally am? Is he trying to get a little bit of Hani as well as Chris? Is he going to sort of try and mix it? Because it would be hard mentally if you're looking in the mirror and you're not where you want to be. It's like, would you be asking Hani, maybe I should do this, should do that? Is Hani going to say, no, just listen to Chris? Or is he going to be taking advice from both and then get fucking messed up even more?
I know Hani's going to say, listen to whatever Chris is telling you to do. What we ever did before, that's us. But Hani, I know Hani because I worked with him. He's going to say, listen to whatever Chris is telling you to do. He doesn't want to mess with Chris or step on his foot or cause any confusion for him. Listen to Chris, trust the process, and let's see how it turns out. But I'm just worried about Derek doubting Chris because he was very comfortable. And when Hani retired, Derek did have a hard time, and he was very stressed out, and he seemed lost. And so that's what I'm concerned about with him going into the show.
Yeah, I got Samson.
Who do you guys got at last?
Your boy.
That's your boy, King.
I told you before, I'm not saying anything negative, positive, anything like that. I'm just going to be completely honest. I think I have Patrick more last.
Yeah, he just doesn't have, even Carlos has the size. It's bodybuilding, like you said. He has more of a classic look. I have him at last too.
Yeah, don't forget Justin Rodriguez too. So he's
Justin.
Yeah, Justin, Jonathan De La Rosa, James, as Lee Priest said. You know what I'm saying? James is looking good, so it's going to be tough for him. Very tough.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think, Lee?
Dude, last. But like I said, Patrick, as I said, because they're all good bodybuilders, it's just like who they're up against, So, the Arnold's always pretty much like an Olympia lineup back in our day. Well, it used to be the Arnold back in our day used to be like the Olympia, just minus Mr. Olympia. The depth was just about the same. So, with who you got in it now, John De La Rosa, one of them are great bodybuilders, but I just think going up against some of these, well, John's placed he's been the top 10 at the Olympia before, hasn't he? So, yeah. But like I said, being bodybuilding is just so hard these days. And with the judges, they've got a criteria they're meant to judge and look for. But then sometimes I think what they're looking for on that given day, they don't know till they see it themselves sometimes. That's why, when people try and go, I got to look this way, the judges want this look or that look. Yeah, they might have said that last year, but, they might have that idea of what they look. But on the day when you walk out, they might be like, fuck, that's the look we like. So I always just say, go in your best, be the best you can be. Don't try and fit into a category. Just die your ass off and go and look in your best, because who knows? On the day, that might be what the judges like, what they see. So, that's why I find it hard for the women, because women are like, they got to come in. I got to come in hard, but my abs can't be too hard because then I got to be in this division. It's like the women must get so fucked up mentally, because imagine dieting down, but then you got to be like, oh, okay, got to stop here. I can't diet anymore because if I get any leaner, I'm not going to place well. Like that would fuck with my head that bad. It'd be like, well,
yeah. And it's frustrating. Derek, Derek could come in way off and end up in third, fourth, fifth. We never know. That could even happen too. If Derek, they do something at the end wacky and his body just doesn't react well, and he can end up in fourth or fifth. We just don't know, looking at pictures. So, it'll be exciting to see, the day of the show. How are you feeling, Lee, by the way? Anyways, I know you were in the hospital for your clots and all that.
Getting about 85, 90% better. Still got a bit of a cough here, but the mucus is almost gone, thank God. You're coughing up the lining of your stomach, it looks like. But that was that helped. I was funny because I was a bit sick before I went, but I had antibiotics, so I got over it. But then I just think traveling, 12 days, each day to 10 days was just a gym back to back, traveling all over UK, Ireland, Wales and that. And then I had a day off before I come home. And then, like I said, I was meant to get home on the Monday. I didn't get home to the Tuesday. Then I looked at the total travel time was 42 hours. And then I was in Dubai airport for 20 hours because they bumped me off a flight because a flight come in late and they put those people on my flight. I was meant to leave at 2 a.m. Ended up having to leave at 9:45 that night. So, I think just when I finally got home and then I get home to Sydney, my car won't start because I've been sitting in the garage that long. I'm like, fuck. So I got home at 2 a.m. just feeling shit. I never get headaches, but my head was pounding and I went to bed. I got up in the morning. My wife like, you don't look too good. And I was coughing and shit. So by 11 a.m. I was in the ambulance going to the hospital. And they're like, oh, you got pneumonia. I did all the tests. I had like some type of pneumonia. And then they did the CT scan. They're like, we think we see like blood clots around your neck area, just small blood clots. So we're going to keep you in. So they kept me in for 3 days, giving me those blood thinner injections in the stomach and that. So maybe it was good I went, because I wasn't going to go to the hospital. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm feeling that shit. I better go. So you can't risk little fucking blood clots.
Yeah, that's
when I came back from Turkey, I think it was 2 days after, my ball sack swelled up like a grapefruit. And I went to the ER and I had clots in my ball sack. And they gave me some medication there, and I was there for like 6 hours, and they sent me home. They just said, put heat on it, and then keep taking some blood thinners for another like 10 days. But yeah, flying, you got to get up and walk around a lot of times. A lot of times these flights, I know.
I try to get up every 2 hours. I wear compression socks. I generally take an aspirin before I go on the plane and stuff, because even in business class, you can lay down, but I still get up every 2.5 hours, go down the back, do some calf raises, walk a bit. Yeah, but I think just because there was so much traveling over those 2 weeks and stuff, and I find when I'm traveling a lot, I don't barely drink as much water as I should, whereas normally a day I might drink a gallon of water or a bit more. When I'm traveling, I probably drink barely a liter a day, so your blood will be thickening up just from not drinking as much. So because when I'm traveling, if I'm in the car, it's like I don't want to drink all the water because I got to stop and piss all the time. So yeah, stupid shit like that. So I got to really force myself to drink when I'm traveling more.
Yeah. What's next, King?
Nick against Martin at the New York Pro. What do you think about Nick?
I saw Nick just posted something where he's like, people are saying this is going to be the show that makes or breaks him. If he doesn't do well, will that be like the end of his reign or something, didn't he say? Or if he doesn't do well, is that going to be like the Nick show over or something? Because, he hasn't competed for a little while, so there's a lot riding on this show. If he does well, then he's still on top. But if he doesn't do well, is that going to be the decline of Nick?
I'm looking at his pictures, and his chest is small. I mean, literally, his chest is small for his physique. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen that, but his chest is small.
I think he has what I had back. Like certain shots, like even me, my chest looks small, but only because on my frame, my shoulders and arms were that big. I would do certain shots like this, and the arms are here, and the chest looks really tiny and stuff. So I think with Nick, his delts and his arms are so massive, it makes his chest look a lot smaller than what it is. Like in person, they look big, but in photographs, in different pictures, because everything else is bigger around it, it makes the chest not look as big. Like he needs a massive Ronnie Coleman chest to match the arms.
Because he said it
different though, man. I've noticed something different. I see his left side is getting a lot bigger than his right side. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Do you have pictures, Armon? You can pop up real quick.
Yeah, let me ask my wife. I didn't really notice that from his pictures. I just noticed, he got a little heavier than he usually does, because Nick stays pretty chiseled, when he's in, off season. This time he got a little heavier. I think he got up to what did he say, 305?
Just doing the Lee Priest approach this time.
So it's kind of hard to tell once he starts coming down.
That front, the latest picture that he posted, the front double bicep, you can tell there's a significant difference between his left arm and his left lat than his right arm and his right lat. You can see it.
Well, that's when I crushed my neck in that accident. My right tricep, this right part of the chest in here, looks like Scott Steiner, like a dog's taken a bite out of it. And my lat, from that nerve damage, it got a bit smaller, just atrophied up from just that C7 nerve being crushed. So
yeah, a lot of the nerve damage, a lot of the middle starts to start separating, like Steiner, and it happens with a lot of football players because they're coming, they're linemen, they're pushing like that, and that causes a lot of damage there. And the guy, when I went and did stem cell in Mexico, Ian was talking to the owner there, and Ian was sending him pictures, and Ian didn't post these pictures, but the owner showed me pictures of Ian's chest, and Ian's chest is separating too, like that. He has his pecs are out to here now, and whatever it's from.
Mine comes here, but on this side it's like over there. It's like I said, it looks like a little dog's taking a bite out of here. And I was talking to a cosmetic surgeon, like, well, we can take fat from your waist. I'm like, good, take it from my waist and inject there and put the fat there. But they go, if you were to diet down again and got lean, the fat would just disappear. So the only way to fix it would be like a proper implant under there. I'm like, I don't think I want to go that far. But that's when, like I said, getting the pro card back, people speculating is Lee coming back. It's like Lee would need 2 years of stem cell and growth hormone before I made a comeback.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you try to do stuff and the nerve damage. I deal with the same stuff in my neck. But it's frustrating. You're going there and you're not feeling it in your arm because of the nerve damage. It's very frustrating. And me and Lee, we've talked about it too. The chronic pain just some days you just want to like literally just jump off a bridge. The pain's so bad, and it's just
That's
it
like
sucks.
after the accident first happened, it was so frustrating because you have a dumbbell in your hand, and because the nerve's not firing, your mind's thinking push it, but it's just sitting there. It's like there's no connection. I'm like, I gotta lift it up myself. It's like, and then even just do like a one-arm push down like this. I put 5-10 pound on it. I'm like, fuck, it's not even moving. It's like it's so frustrating that my mind's thinking move, but because the nerve's not firing, it won't even go down. It took forever to get it fucking working again, and even now, it's still not 100%. It's still frustrating. So,
if you can find a decompression table, I know you have the inversion table, but if you can find like a chiropractor or a PT with a inversion table, a decompression table, that helped my neck dramatically.
Like that they sort of bend down, the table bends down and moves.
No, it's straight, but they'll attach whatever to your neck or to your lower lumbar, and it'll stretch it out. It'll stop for a minute. It'll stretch it out. You'll stay on there about 20 minutes,
that's
and
like that's like the rack back in the torture days.
Yeah, but that worked wonders for my neck. I couldn't like curl a 20-pounder for a while. I started doing that 3 times a week, and it was amazing how my muscle came back, and my left arm's still like an inch smaller than my right, but it was just the decompression. If you can find that, Lee, wherever you're at, I mean it makes a huge difference.
I think the chiropractor who has that, because I think I saw a girl sitting there, but she was sitting upright and she had a neck in a thing, and he was like pulling it. I was like pulling a neck up.
Yeah. What would you guys say an optimal test level is for someone that is 27 or 28? I say about 900 to 1,000 you would want. What do you guys think?
Yeah. 9 to.
Hey, Greg Valentino's online. G'day, Greg.
I think that's a fake one, Lee. The fake one's been coming on here. Yeah. The fake one's been.
Fake one is here. My God.
Yeah, probably. The fake one.
Lee King, my boys, is actually nice. Normally, when it's a fake one, they abuse you.
Yeah. Well, no, best show on bodybuilding. King is still Jack. Yeah, King is still Jack. Lee's still Jack too.
King's making a comeback to the Masters Olympia.
Oh, yeah, I'm making a comeback. All right.
We'll all come back. We'll all do it.
When the Trump Tower goes up in the Gaza Strip, that's how I'm gonna make my comeback. How's that?
Did Rule have nerve damage?
We'll put the bodybuilding show on at Trump Towers in the Gaza Strip.
Mr. Gaza.
Did Marcus Rule have nerve damage? Yeah, he had nerve damage too in his chest. He talked about it. Yeah, here's Greg, Lee, and my boys. I don't know if this is like we said last week, King asked you the same question and you didn't answer it. So,
Yeah.
Somebody said how many days training. Somebody asked me how many days training. Lee, how many days training per week if you're natty? I hate when they say if you're natty. It doesn't matter. Train 5-6 days a week. Just get your rest in, get your meals in. Whether you're natty or on gear, just fucking train your ass off. It doesn't matter. I hate when people have got to stipulate, I'm natty, this or that. It's like, it doesn't matter. Just fucking train. You can do it. Just get your meals in, get the
Yeah, I got my nerve damage, and my first one was, I think I got it from soccer. When you're playing soccer, you're doing a lot of headers. Right. So I noticed in high school, my neck, when I would take pictures, my neck would kind of be like this way. And then when I started training, I would always feel like some sort of difference. And I think I got nerve damage initially when I was younger from soccer. Then when I started bodybuilding, my right arm was always bigger than my left arm. And then I got in a couple bad car accidents. I herniated disc in my neck and back. So that's how I got my nerve damage. So, Lee, how many days training per week? If you're natty, you just answered that. What's up, Craig?
Trolling him right now.
Did Lee really live with Paul Dillette for a while in Venice?
Of course he did.
Paul lived with me, actually. Yes, for almost a year.
Those are legendary stories, man. Of course.
And that's the funny thing. And here's the thing, too. I don't know when King, but whenever Paul lived with me for almost a year, I'd eat with Paul, flex everyone at the firehouse. And this is the thing that comes back to drugs. Not once did we ever talk about steroids when we lived together. I never asked him what he was on. He might sit there one day and I see him take a shot of test or something. I'll get ready for the Olympia. I'd see him go to the fridge and get a bit of growth. But we never once discussed steroids. Like, to me, it was never a topic that I wanted to know about. It's like I knew what worked for me, what he took or what anyone else took. People go, oh, I wonder what such and such cycle is. Who cares? Just fucking train. Who gives a shit what someone's taking? It's the whole like Michael Hoon thing. Do you think he's natty? Who gives a fuck? Just fucking worry about yourself and go to the gym and fucking lift weights. It's like, who cares?
I think I told you this before. One of my favorite pictures of all time was the one that was in Flex when you were sitting down in like one of these chairs and you're flexing your abs and Dillette standing over you. That was one of my favorites. Yeah. I had that one on my pick in my.
That was out the back of Club Metrics, was it? Out the back of Club Metrics in the sun.
Classic.
I mean, let me answer this real quick. Armon, why are you having Leon after the trouble he caused with you and Leon RX? Listen, we're friends, guys. Lee gives people a hard time, and you know, if people know me personally, they might think I'm like angry a lot, but I'm not. I mean, Lee gives people a hard time. We're all friends outside of this whole YouTube thing. We talk, so there's the answer to that. You know. I got nerve damage from sucking all that cock over the years. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, doing too much, but just do little bobs. Don't go too hard, mate.
Yeah, you can't go the deep routes. I'm trying to get a picture of Nick pulled up in a second.
He tried to deep throat and knock the disc out the back of his neck.
All right. What else, King?
We still didn't get a prediction from Lee. Who's winning the New York Pro? Nick Walker or Martin?
Oh shit. I'm gonna hopefully Nick's got something to prove, so I'm gonna say Nick, but it's gonna be close.
That's what I say. I
think Nick's gonna come back with a vengeance.
We can't hear you, Lee. Lee cut out.
Yep, I'm back. I said my mic muted automatically. My phone doesn't want to hear me talk anymore. It's like, I think Nick's got something to prove here because missing the last two Olympias, people are talking shit. Has he still got it? Can he still get it? You know, you're only as good as your last show, and because he was close with Martin, that's what people have got him to compare to. So like, it was only a point off. He's only a point off if Martin's improved. So I think Nick's going to come back with a vengeance here to prove that he's still got it. So he's, I think he's going to, like I said, turn up and maybe make a mark again. Then he'll be in the talk again for the Olympia. So let's fingers crossed that Nick does it.
Totally agree. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I have Martin winning. We'll see how, like I said, how he turns out. But Martin's on a roll, and Martin's confidence, I think Martin's in a really good mental space. You know, Martin lived in Dallas for a while, and, while he was here, I don't think it was the great environment for him. Since he moved to Florida and when he went over to Dubai for a while, that's when he packed on the serious size because all he was doing was eat, sleep, and training. Did any of you guys do drag curls for biceps? Of course, we did all that. We did everything. Try everything.
And that's another good point you make too. Martin's frame of mind, being on a high, being on a roll, and Nick, like I said, Nick's got to have some doubt there because, like I said, you're doubting yourself. I haven't competed for 2 years. How am I going to do? And just a little bit of doubt can fuck you up mentally. And then, like I said, if you're not 100% in the head, that can show in your body too. So hopefully Nick can focus in on it because, like I said, if you're going in like a Samson, how Samson's wife helps him, if you're in that right frame of mind where everything's going great, you're training, you're eating, your home life is good, you just look so much better because you're at peace with everything. If you've got that little bit of doubt there and stuff like that, that can really, people don't realize when you're getting ready for a show, that a little bit of doubt